Well, Marvel fans, we just got some new reports about what I consider to be the coolest Marvel rumor that is out there. And I know there's a ton of MCU rumors happening all the time, but I'm telling you, the Nomad project with Chris Evans returning to the role of Captain America is the coolest one. It is the most hype. It has the potential to be one of the wildest things we've ever seen in the MCU. And so in this video, I want to break down the new reports about the Nomad series, which sound absolutely mind-blowing, but I also want to go back in time and talk you through the different pieces of news that have come out over the past couple of years that have been talking about the Nomad project. This is not just some crazy random thing that people are speculating about. There's actual evidence that this thing is real. So smash a gosh dang like button on this video and let's get into it. Now, I want to begin by talking about where this new report comes from, and it is a part of a massive dump of leaks and rumors over on the Marvel Studios Spoilers subreddit. This subreddit is a great place that aggregates all these different leaks and rumors, and over the course of many years, they have gotten a lot of their own sources. And so occasionally the moderation team just dumps a bunch of info, and that's where this Nomad scoop comes from. I want to be very clear about this though, because they separate the scoops into two categories. One of those categories is the stuff that has come from verified sources, and then the other stuff is stuff that comes from unverified sources. And the Nomad project information does come from unverified sources. So we got to take this with a grain of salt. However, if this is indeed happening, it's very possible that the information is leaking out via some people that don't usually have scoops. And as you'll see later on in the video, there's a lot of other evidence that suggests that this project is absolutely real and lining up with the timing that is put forward in this new scoop. Okay, so here's the deal. They're saying that the project is focused on bringing back Chris Evans to Marvel Studios. He will, of course, be the protagonist, but Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow is also set to return, and both Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans will produce on this series as well as be main stars. That's awesome. It means it's going to be a really big deal for Marvel Studios. This reminds me a lot of what they do with Loki. Tom Hiddleston is a producer on both seasons of Loki, and he also has a lot of input on what they do in the show with the character, and I think this makes perfect sense. When you have done a Marvel character for so long, you of course know the character in and out, and you should have some kind of ownership of what the character does in the future stories. So I love the idea of bringing these two back as producers and as stars. The report goes on to say that the script and the cast are under wraps, but they are set to begin filming in early 2024. And again, that timing actually makes a lot of sense for what we have heard previously about this project. Now, as far as the plot, the report says that they want to make the project where Captain America returns the Infinity Stones to their place in time. This is the series where we will see that adventure. It's multiversal, and we will see different timelines and alternate versions of the characters, including different versions of Steve and Natasha. The report then says that they're going to bring new photography directors, which means they will change the visual style and cinematic image of the standards they're using through the MCU, just like they are searching for HBO visionaries for Secret Invasion reshoots because they're good cinematography eye. And the last bit of the report mentions that the story is said to be serious and mature, with less jokes and childish attitudes. They want to experiment with the styles, and if this is accepted, they might adopt this for future MCU shows or films. And look, that sounds freaking amazing, and I have a lot of speculative, crazy, nerdy thoughts going on in my head. But before we get into all of that, I just want to talk about the past reports about the Nomad project. Here's a scoop from Charles Murphy from all the way back in December 15th of 2020. This was right after a big Marvel presentation, and Charles says in his article, Marvel Studios unveiled a handful of new properties at last week's Disney Investor Day with Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, but it seems they left at least one out of the impressive presentation, Nomad. The company has trademarked Marvel Studios' Nomad, along with several of the properties announced last week. Now, in the comics, Captain America becomes Nomad, just leaving behind the American flag and the American design for his costume. And this was done after Captain America learned that the United States government, who of course he had devoted his entire life to, was actually being run by the Secret Empire. It's also worth noting that Chris Evans' look in Infinity War kind of resembles the Nomad look also. So it's crazy that over 3 years ago, Marvel Studios trademarked Nomad as a project. But what's even more crazy is a year later, Deadline ran an exclusive talking about how Chris Evans has signed back up with Marvel and he may well be reprising his role as Captain America in the MCU. In fact, let's just read the first line of that article. It says here, exclusive, in a move that is sure to rock the Marvel Cinematic Universes, sources tell Deadline that Chris Evans is cleaning the dust off his Captain America attire as he is expected to reprise the role in the MCU in some form. And so that report comes out about 2 years ago, a year after the trademark for Nomad. And I remember at the time there was discussion around this report talking about how Chris Evans is not going to be coming back as Captain America. And there was a lot of confusion as to how he could be coming back, reprising his role, and not just stepping into that role of Captain America again, which we thought was being given to Sam Wilson. But you see, the Nomad project actually solves both of these problems and makes it all make sense because Chris would be coming back to the role of Captain America that he played before in the MCU, except we would see him in a project where he's taking the Infinity Stones, putting them back into the MCU, and perhaps dealing with multiversal shenanigans. So what do I think is going on with this project? And what do I think we'll actually see as fans? Well, I think it's tied to something really interesting that Marvel Studios has been working on for a long time. And I think this will be basically battle world movies. One of the really new rumors that's caught a lot of fire is the fact that you might get a Phase 7 still existing while there is a battle world, while Secret Wars is essentially still going on, and you're going to get a ton of projects in Phase 7 that are essentially battle world projects. And I think it's important to remember that before the Rona, Marvel Studios was planning on dropping Secret Wars in 2024. Like, that was something heavily teased out by Charles Murphy. And so the reality was Marvel was planning on getting right into the battle world craziness and doing a ton of wild multiversal stuff really, really fast. And so it would make sense that 3 years ago, they trademark Nomad and already start planning out a story for Captain America in Battle World or within the multiverse when he's taking these Infinity Stones back. But of course, things have changed and we might not even get to Secret Wars until 2027, and we might not finish it all until 2028. But it seems like Marvel's new strategy of how to get from where they're at to where they want to be is to still shoot all of these projects in time and then tweak them once they finalize the plans for the future a little bit more. A great example of this is the Agatha Coven of Chaos show, which is essentially already wrapped, but is being delayed until 2024 or 2025. And the belief is that Marvel will go back and add stuff to the Agatha show once they have more other projects in a better state and they know better what the actual plan is for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think that's what's happening with the Nomad project. I think they're totally going to get Chris Evans. I think Chris Evans has been open to it for some time, and they're going to shoot it and do some crazy multiversal stuff with this project and probably make it to the same level as Daredevil Born Again. That is to say, this is going to be a long series, which they're going to put a lot of time and resources into, which would just make sense because it is potentially one of the most hyped up things for fans. We absolutely loved Chris Evans as Captain America, and personally myself, right when I saw that ending in Endgame where he gets on that time platform with Mjolnir in a suitcase full of Infinity Stones, I just automatically thought that guy would pop up or be involved in Secret Wars in some way. And as far as what the story could be for the Nomad project, I actually don't think it's going to be him putting the Infinity Stones back into the timeline. I think that might be what he's looking to do, but I think as soon as he gets on that time platform and goes back to the past, he is going to realize that the entire multiverse is now out of whack. And so his adventure won't just be to try to put the Infinity Stones back, but to try to figure out what is actually going wrong with the multiverse. And I think Steve will view this chaos as essentially his fault, or his and Tony Stark's fault, for doing what they did with time travel in the Endgame film. And so I think what you'll see is our Steve Rogers eventually finding another variant of Black Widow, maybe even the variant we meet in What If, and the two of them will then go throughout the multiverse trying to figure out what's going on and trying to help. And if Marvel really does blow up the entire multiverse at the end of the Kang Dynasty and just make Battleworld all that there is, it would just make sense to maybe have a post-credit scene after that movie where certain heroes wake up on Battleworld and this older, more grizzled version of Chris Evans' Captain America welcomes them to Battleworld and tells them they need to come with him if they want to live. Because I think it would be fantastic if this Captain America with the stones and Mjolnir has been fighting throughout the multiverse and perhaps even on Battleworld for a long, long time. Maybe this guy knows what Battleworld is really like, and that would be awesome for us as fans to have Captain America and Steve Rogers from the Infinity Saga playing a huge role in how the heroes are going to try to stop the Beyonder Kang on Battleworld. It's just honestly so cool, man. I really hope that this actually comes together, and it seems like it is. A project like this could be an incredible comeback for Chris Evans. It could introduce audiences to the weirdness of the multiverse and Battleworld through a very interesting lens, and it could set up the actual Secret Wars movie for being this incredible thing where Captain America has a lot to do. But those are the new reports, some of the old reports, and some of my speculation. I would absolutely love to know what you guys are thinking about this rumor, so please let me know in the comments section below. Smash a freaking like on this video if you're excited for the Nomad project. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and our live streaming channel. And if you want to watch more, why not check out the video I just did breaking down all the different rumors that came out in that massive info dump.